Hello, Deep Mindfulness Collective. This right here, right now, is the joy of being alive. Stream coming to you live from Brooklyn, New York, folks. Very happy indeed to be here with you today. Today is my favorite of all days. Today is not only just Monday, today is today. Yes, indeed. So what is up, folks? Very happy you're here with us, and we're going to hopefully okay, we also need to know if this is working, because the internet went down, and it's a good question of whether this stream is even up. So what are you here for? I mean, where are you, and what are you grateful for? Not what are you here for. I'm a little bit sleep-logged today. Grateful for internet. That's what I'm grateful for. So let me know if this, oh good, more people are showing up, which indicates to me that the stream is actually running. Grateful for, the stream is up. Me too. I'm, the internet went down and then it just fixed itself. So hopefully that is, that's resolved here. Where are you coming from? Where are you? And what are you grateful for is my question. Okay, I want to have a little, here we go. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. Come on. Okay. Okay, sorry, I'm transitioning here. Transition. Excellent. We have a little visitor today. Hello, little visitor. Hello, little visitor. The doggy cam is on. We're good to go. Folks, Sela's having a nice time here. Jean, welcome. Julia, welcome. Afternoon from Austria. Grateful for fashion. Oh, tell me about your fashion successes or discoveries that you're grateful for. I'm very curious about that. Okay, let's see if we can move the doggy cam so we can get a little more doggy. Sela, come. Yeah, so. Yeah, where are you coming from? What are you grateful for? Folks, excited about meditation today. It's always nice to meditate with other people. It's one of my favorite things in the world. So tell me where you come from, what you're grateful for, and any interest as far as meditation today. What would be of interest? What would you like to do? Nick, welcome. Afternoon from Sweden. Grateful to not have to do complicated work today. Had 0 minutes of sleep last night. What? 0 minutes? That's very few minutes. That's not enough. Look how, because it's a wide-angle lens, how like monstrously large my hand looks. Yeah. So thanks for the. Sorry for the low sleep quotient. I actually had a really quite decent sleep last night, and Raquel, Sela woke up. Sela woke up in the middle of the night, or not in the middle of the night, like 8 in the morning. Was like, I want to go to the bathroom, and it was a pain because, it's 8 in the morning. So I was like, I'm not going to do it. Then I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I don't know why. This is a weird decision. I'm going to get up right now and take an ice cold shower and take the dog out. And if I need to sleep more, I'll sleep more. And so that's what I did. And I took the dog out and I took an ice cold shower, and it was delightful. And I've been into ice cold showers recently, folks. This has been something I've been really into. Wow, I'm very shiny too. I had a shower with a bunch of moisturizer. So ice cold showers have been my jam. I have been really into this, and I highly recommend it for anyone who, I don't know, thinks that would be a fun idea, because there's a way in which it's very much not fun. But it takes a certain kind of mental control that I actually really enjoyed. And today I used meditation to make it not so unbearable, and it was very, very interesting. This is sort of like hey lady, look who showed up again. This is sort of the general breakdown of the entire process. Is you're trying to use the part of the mind that does not mind, and really, really pay attention to that part, because this other part is like like choking and breathing and stuff. And so you have to like occupy, use a kind awareness, or use whatever, and just stay there and just watch what it's like to watch that part freak out and be like, oh look, there it is, there's the part that really doesn't like this, which is a very good skill to develop. So anyway, it wakes you up. Trust me, you're going to be woken up. Better than coffee for sure. So I think you do get hit with a pretty solid endorphin something, because you're pretty jazzed. But I don't know if I recommend it. Oh, thanks for the subscription there, Denny. That's very kind. This is your 4th month in a row. Very kind. Thank you so much. Denny says, hello from Harlem. Grateful for the films that allow us to suspend disbelief and get lost in a story. I know. I've been big into films recently. Oh, P.S. Unrelated. Highly recommended. I can't have surgery without anesthesia yet, but we're getting there. I could imagine it. I feel like it's like in the range of imagination that I could imagine that. So, highly recommended. I watched the show The Great. I watched the whole thing in like a weekend, because it was, well, not really a weekend, but almost a weekend. Hey, what are you chewing? Sela, leave it. Oh, leaf it. Sela, ha ha ha. Leave it. Sela got a leaf. It's tough, because it's like, I'll let her chew a leaf, but some leaves are poisonous, and I don't know, like every plant, I'm like, I don't know which plant did that come from. So she's always getting leaves, and I'm always taking them away. And so that's the game we play. The show is The Great. It's very good. It's about Catherine the Great, and it's like a dramedy. It's more of a comedy than a drama, but it has really good acting, and it's also like they do suspense really well, even though it's like a funny comedy. It's like very very good at producing anxiety in a very interesting way. So let's see. Julia says, how's the weather in New York? Poof, let me tell you, it is cold. It's snowy, first of all, yes, and it is cold. I don't know what about the cold makes it more cold, but it's like layers and layers, and I go outside and it's like just cutting through, which I have to do several times a day with the dog. And Nick says, been getting lost in a story all day. It's crazy here. Full blizzard. Yeah, it's definitely a blizzard here. Wow, 40-second delay, but probably due to Chromecasting. Is there a 40-second delay in the stream? Is that what what we think? Oh, because you can see the emojis come up. All right. Well, Twitch is delay heavy, which it's tough. It doesn't emphasize interaction because it's so delay heavy. But hey, we're in the middle. Come on, let's be grateful. We're literally in the middle of a blizzard. It's like white out outside. It's like piles of snow everywhere, and the roads are shut down, which is a big high. They don't shut down roads in New York willy-nilly. Okay, that's crazy. 40-second delay. Okay, well, listen, what are you going to do? So, folks, we're going to meditate now, and so typically what I'll do if I don't know what to do in meditation, it's sometimes really fun. I'll just make it up, and then I'll sometimes make up things I couldn't have thought of otherwise. And I have to test certain meditation technology. So I have an interest in testing very specific techniques. But I also want to be open to what you guys want, what you want to do, what do you want to explore, or maybe you just want me to make it up because that's much easier. Come on, Sela. Come here. I'm going to give you a treat, and you're going to come, and I'm going to pick you up. It's a trick. And then we're going to lift you up, and you're going to tangle in all the wires. We're all going to look at Sela. This is a little nurture positive of cuteness. Hi, Sela. I don't know if folks know we're actually getting another little doggy in a couple months. Look at little Sela. Look at how cute she is. I think she's gotten older. She's just gotten so much more like snuggle ready. She's just like, yeah, sure, I'll snuggle. For the first time ever, this is my extra sleep today, I took a nap with her. She's usually so squirmy, and she's like, no, fuck you. And I just like took a nap and like cuddled her, and she's like, okay. Like never happened before. She's never been able to do that. So I think she's getting a little more cuddle ready. She's a sweetie. So hopefully this is a little fun, nurture positive for everyone as much as it is for me. I'll find myself, I'll have like friends over, and I'll just be like, I'm like, is this rude? So that could be the whole stream. I feel like we should have just like a nurture positive stream where it's just like looking at cute animals and playing with Sela. I feel like that would be like a good stream. And then Sela will finally like pipe up and tell us the secret. Tell us the secret, Sela. Come on, just say the words. So anyway, okay, folks. Let's see. Okay. Julia says, trying to work with disowned anger. Okay, this is good. Okay, that's the kind of thing that's really helpful. See, Julia's being helpful. Just kidding. How do you maximize rest without sleeping mentally? Okay. Or the part disavowing it, which is kind of elusive. Great. Okay, so when you said work with disowned anger, you started talking about like a disavowal. Okay, great. And then working with sleep without maximizing. Okay, maximize rest without sleep. So that's I want to answer Nick's question. It's a tricky question, especially because we have to meditate. So meditation is a balance between wakefulness and restfulness. And when the body is very sleepy, it's tough because the body wants to be very restful and the mind wants to be restful. So Sela, you're going to stay out of there. Even though I didn't close the gate, I don't want to get up right now because I'm chit-chatting with friends. So don't go in the bedroom. You're looking at me like you're going to go in the bedroom, but you know that you're not supposed to. She's like, I can't get in trouble for looking. You can't fault me for looking. So she knows she's just going to go in there and hunt for socks or any piece of fabric that she can chew on. Airplane John, welcome. How to work with resistance to not feeling well. Okay, great. Okay, great, folks. So there's so much to work with here. This is perfect. If you want to add more, but okay. So, but Nick, hey, no. Okay, so Nick, let me answer your question after, but let me tell you what I would suggest to do for the meditation itself. If you're doing the meditation and you need sleep, okay, here's what I would suggest, honestly. If you need sleep and you haven't gotten sleep and you're going to meditate, I would let yourself fall asleep. Rarely do I tell this to people, but if you've actually gotten zero sleep, I want you to let yourself fall asleep. And this is, I'm telling Nick this, do not do this to anyone else. I want you, for this next 30 minutes, to even potentially practice laying down. And I'm going to have to close the gate. She's like, she's looking at socks, so enticed. She's like, I see socks, though. It's my fault. I have laundry out. Okay, so do practice if either lying down or whatever, but I'd almost suggest lying down. And look for the threshold of consciousness where the mind goes into, like, disappears. See that? Nope. Where the mind disappears when you fall asleep. You know, you just, things like sort of sink down. At some point, there's this sort of threshold where everything becomes weird and abstract and doesn't make sense anymore. And then the mind goes unconscious. Look for that and just hang out there. Just hang out there and hang out there. Relax the body physically and go from there. And actually, it's, in a way, it's like, see if you can drive yourself into sleep, and like sounds, my voice will happen or whatever, and just let that be part of the mix of the weird stuff rather than hearing the voice and trying to understand the words. Hear the voice as part of that weird, abstract, like, world of swirling, dream stuff. The Twilight Zone incoming, exactly. Okay, but let's do the meditation based on these other requests here. How do you deal with the disavowed anger So there's an anger that's like, get out of here, or the part that's disavowing it. Airplane John says, how do you work with resistance of not feeling well? So John, I know that you're not feeling well, and I know that that is, I know it's significant. I know you have a lot of medical stuff happening, and so I could imagine, I have not had significant medical difficulty over a long period of time, so I can only imagine and extrapolate from my own experiences, but I believe the principles are exactly the same, so we'll work with that. So I think that's what we're going to do, is work with basically disavowed parts, or parts of us that don't like something. Some part of us is like, I don't like that, I don't like this, and we want to work with that part. So let's do that. We're going to start with a little settling the mind. We're going to balance the mind in a very simple game. Everyone who's been here for very long knows this game. Basically, it's the difficulty, the challenge of the game is the simplicity. So at first the mind's going to be doing all this stuff, and so we're just trying to come back to this super simple game. When I was a child, we'd play this game. When I was like a young teenager, me and my friends, and you'd stand in front of somebody, and I don't know if you can see the microphone, it's black here. So here's the microphone. And so if this was a friend, they would be standing like almost just as close as this is. And you would bow, and you couldn't bow very far because you're going to bump your head against them. You'd bow, and then you play this game like this. You put your hands against each other, and you try to push the other person over. The first person to lose balance loses the game. But if you push and you like stiffen your arms and push, and they push back with a little bit more force, you fall over. Or if you push and they just pull their hands back, you fall forward. So you can't actually just use like push wins. It's like this weird thing of like pushing and then letting go and pushing, but it's a real like, it's a meditation game. It is really like a kind of meditation game. And that game was, we would play that for hours and hours, and round of the game would last a few seconds sometimes, just be like, whoa, okay, your foot moves like a tiny bit. You're standing like this close feet-wise together. And it was so hard because it was so simple. It was so simple. And that was like the challenge of the game. So we're going to be playing a very simple game, and that's going to be the challenge, is to get the mind to do this simple thing. The mind wants to blah, 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 add all this stuff, and we're going to find the simple thing and be interested in it. That's the key. Okay. Do I need to restrain the dog? That's the question. How much damage could she really do? Famous last words. How much damage could she really do? Wait, before we go. No. Stay. Oh, she was just doing something really cute on the couch. I wanted to show you guys. But, what are you going to do? Okay, let's meditate, guys. Let's say hi to the dog one last time. Okay, so find a nice comfortable position that you can maintain for the duration of the sit. And we will, in a moment here, begin. Oops. Right after I show you this. This is worth it. This is worth it. Look at her being so cute there on the couch. She was standing on the couch like all arched up. Anyway, it's very cute. Stay, Sela. Good. She learned stay, which is incredible. I mean, she's just staying because I told her to. It's pretty impressive. Watch this. So where's that? Sela, break. No. Okay. Sela, here. Good girl. Okay, here's a little treat for you. Okay, let's meditate, folks. Okay, let's do it. Finding a nice comfortable position that you can maintain for the duration of the sit. Oops. Oh, I see. Yeah, find a nice position. You're going to be sitting in total stillness. So, let's see here. Sitting in total stillness. So finding a nice position that you can maintain for the duration of the sit. We're going to practice for 25 minutes, arranging the body well, and then we'll begin. I want to encourage people, because anytime we do a stream, there's some people who are interacting, some people are sort of like in the background, like a little quiet. I want to emphasize something. Folks who aren't chatting and are like kind of off on the side, I believe in you. You can do it, and you're going to have a very interesting experience if you stick around. Just stick around to the end. There'll be some challenges that arise. They're totally normal. and it's going to be fun. So let's meditate here, folks. Beginning by taking a few comfortable deep breaths, just feeling the body rise and fall. Whenever we arrive at a meditation, we arrive with the momentum of all of the previous moments. This means that while we may have the intention or the desire for the mind to be quiet or steady, this is not really up to us. It's up to a past self. One who decided to allow the mind to jump and skip and have fun, and how that mind is moving at the same speed. And how do we know what speed the mind is moving? Well, we simply attend to some sensation and notice what the mind does. In this case, just noticing the body rising and falling as the breath comes and goes, and beginning to physically relax the body. Of course, like any moment in life, we're going to be confronted with various levels of distracting externals and distracting internals. So as we physically relax the body, noticing the mind will be pulled back and forth between what we're intending to stay with and any distractions. This is natural. Doesn't mean we're having a bad meditation. Sweeping through the body to be sure we're not holding any undue tension, starting at the top of the head. Relaxing the brow, relaxing the muscles behind the eyes, allowing the face to go smooth, relaxing the back of the tongue, allowing the jaw to go slack. Relaxing the neck and the shoulders. Relaxing the arms and relaxing the hands. As we allow the body to breathe naturally without any need to control it, letting the torso relax, including the belly and the lower back. Relaxing the hips and the legs, and relaxing the feet. And we can either connect with awareness by observing all of the body sensations as one large collective, or if it's not too much, if we're familiar with the process, we can take in all sense data as one large collection. The mind has two primary modes, zooming in and we could say zooming out, or taking in more information. So allowing the mind to take in a soft capture of our overall experience, or the overall experience of the body. A kind of inner and outer environmental snapshot. But what happens in this scenario, because we're allowing the mind to stay wide, spacious, we'll experience distraction as it details. The mind will be spacious and open, but then suddenly be pulled to some particular detail. The sensations of our left hand, or some sound. So introducing that detail, that supposed distraction, to all of the sensations around it, giving it context, and eventually showing it the context of all of our sense data. Seeing if we can soak into the gentleness of this open awareness. Awareness is deeply gentle, like an ultrafine mist. It simply floats all around us. Noticing that this awareness itself doesn't need anything to be different. It simply makes contact with experiences. If the mind is pulled to various details over and over, simply reintroduce it to the context of the senses around it, bringing it back to the overall experience. And we want to get used to this process. We notice a part or particle in our experiencing, and we introduce that to the overall experience. Introduce a piece of our attention back to awareness. Beginning to teach the body-mind that we could reside, find a home in this awareness, a place we could return to. And for some, we might find that it's hard to contact this awareness. Or it's shaky, unstable, and that's normal. Noticing if there's resistance to this experience, a sense that it should be different, we should be able to do this. Something's wrong, says the mind. And notice that that too is a particle. That too is just a small piece. Introducing that to the overall experience, as though we're beginning to get a little separation, as though the mind could say, ah, yes, I see you there, having a hard time, of course. And throughout this process, we're going to, at times, have contact with this kind, welcoming awareness. And at times, we'll have contact with various particles or parts. It's important to know that they're not actually different. Although the tiny parts claim to be separate, we can show them over and over that they're very directly connected with all of this other sense data. If we feel like we're pulled into some detail, some difficult experience, or something very sticky that has its own gravitational force and won't let us away from this detail, we can ask, what is this pulling from? If it's pulling in towards the middle, what are the outer edges that it's pulling from? Not trying to force the mind to be big, just knowing. Experiencing the fields from which it pulls. Now noticing if there's any self that seems to be at the foreground or keeps arising. We can detect if it's a self, if there's a kind of want or need arising. Wanting this moment to be a certain way. Perhaps wanting it to stay just like it is, or wanting it to be different. Wanting our meditation to improve. Wanting to be more calm, or some other ideal. Wanting to be asleep or be awake. Wanting for pain to be reduced or pleasure to increase. And so with the strength of this awareness, we're going to see if we can find the kernel, the underlying need within this. See if we can detect the true calling out within this, a kind of primordial yearning that is this particular self's need. And we're separating any discomfort, any thinking, anything extra. We're just looking for the very core underlying need, the plea of this part. If there's no such thing, simply continuing observing parts and introducing them to the whole. But whenever we have a part of us that has a need, that experiences that as a lack, something is missing, something needs to occur. So there's a distance between the wanting and an imagined getting. And that's the sorrow of any part, the absence of what it needs. But I want us to recognize that the need is encoded in the wanting. this very essential yearning that this part is able to express, as a knowledge of what's missing. So without thinking about it, without trying to figure anything out, I want us to see if we can find within ourselves some other part that knows what is needed, a caring, nurturing part. Maybe it's the kind awareness, or maybe it's another self within us. And if this feels impossible, again, that's a part saying it can't receive, it doesn't know how. So we might be relying too heavily on the part, the challenged part. That part has expressed its lack. And so using the kind awareness, exploring where is this perfect, caring, adoring part. I promise you, it is there. Even if we don't locate it today, the search is wholesome. The part that needs is like a key. The part that cares is like a lock. And we're simply introducing the two. Slowly letting them get to know each other. And staying with the practice, staying in stillness, allowing a tiny bit of light to enter the eyes, and continuing the same process, introducing part to whole, meeting whatever part is arising with the part that can care for it, as we eventually allow the eyes to fully open and rest on a single point. And no matter where we arrived in this meditation, having respect for what actually was, rather than what we thought it might be or should be. Noticing the part that thinks it should be like X, Y, or Z. Accepting that as a part that has a need. Recognizing it as natural. And in this way, allowing this particular moment to be the great teacher that shows us how we might bring this practice into every aspect of our life. Okay. Doggy's being doggy. Hopefully she wasn't too terrible. It was one of those, I don't know what it is. One of those choices where I had to choose to let her make some noise or get up and tie her up and have her make some other noise. So hopefully it wasn't too distracting. Julia says, hello, Sila, meow, meow. Exactly. That's exactly the case. P.S. What was that like? What happened and what do you like now? Folks, I want you to bust out that digital tech and hit me with what that experience was like. And I'm going to jump open here and put in the Discord. Okay. So for a while we had our tech team live, like watching the stream, and I could ask questions and they would answer live, but we don't anymore. So what we do have, though, is someone who watches afterwards to get all the time codes, which P.S., our entire archive is up on YouTube with time codes now, which is took a long time. And this person who does it, Naz, who's watching this recording, thank you, Naz, is incredibly good at actually parsing out each section, each question, each thing. So if you ever want to watch and have it be very I want to skip the part about Sila and I want to get to the part about non-self or whatever, you can just look through the time codes and see what you want to watch. So with that, I want to invite you to chat with us here. Okay, I'm making an invite here for us. Putting it in the stream if you want to jump in. This is the spot. Love to hear your voice, and we can ask you very specific questions about your practice and hopefully be helpful in a way that is more than just, whatever. Let's see here. Okay. Excellent. Okay, so folks, what was that like? What happened, and what are you like now? Somebody reached out on Discord, Neela, I believe, and asked a question, but I suggested they come on the stream. So hopefully, we see Neela here on the Discord, on the Discord at some point. We can chit chat, find out about their practice, what that's like, what they're like, what's happening, what they're like now. So what was that like? Because we had some specific requests here. Someone who had physical discomfort and pain, someone who was having a part that was disavowed. So I was trying to do something somewhat universal that would be interesting and fun for folks. Hi, Sila. Hi. Okay. You want to come say hi to people as they get ready to write their reports? See, that's going to motivate you to write your meditation report. She's going to jump up on my shoulder like this, and then we're going to chit-chat like kitty cats. See, before there's any comments, I got all this visual real estate here I can play around in. Come on, see, over here, over there. Look, yeah, what a sweetie. So, yeah, what was that meditation like? Yeah, and now there's a discussion about starting an entire course that's the multiple self model and really helping sort of do a lot of what we're doing today, sort of begin to deconstruct things, these different parts of ourselves that have these sort of fundamental yearnings, and like how do we actually meet the needs of these parts, given that they've been wanting something for so many years, and like how is that possible that the thing that they need is actually within them? Hello, my dear. Just your little sweetie. Okay, Nick has a nice, clear report here. Hopefully, I'm curious about the sleep report. What happened in the realm of sleep? Where is the? Oh, here it is. Okay, let's chit-chat here. Nick, who also has a robot voice for some reason. Nick says, oh, not working again. Try it again. Nick says, hello.
After a few minutes I wasn't actually aware of any instructions, so might have to redo this one. Noticed that the visual field got kinda closer and more pixelated, feeling more immersed in the field like in an huge IMAX or something. At some point it felt like it almost wrapped around me. Thoughts didn't have any energy to pull attention into the train, so staying with the whole was much more accessible.
Great. Excellent. Okay, also, Nick also says,
some parts were very unhappy about the drowsiness. Thanked them for caring about my sleep and health.
You know, I actually, in an IFS session recently, I did work on this part that I have a part that tends to, when I'm overwhelmed, be like, just go to sleep. And it's sort of like a narcotic, you know, disassociative part. And I had to really, really separate out the sensations, the physical sensations of sleepiness from the need. That's part of why I was talking about that today. This is, oh, I like, go to sleep, like, make it go away, just like, oh, take a rest, like, you know, and the physical sleepiness was very like around my face and like these kind of things. And it was like, if I paid attention to that, I would get more and more sleepy, but the need, the yearning, that was so like, and then satisfying that, it made the sleepiness itself sort of break down in a certain way. What do you think about wet versus dry insight practice? I forget, and I always remember that they feel like they're the names are reversed. Like wet is with concentration and dry is without concentration. Honestly, I sort of disagree with the premise that you could do insight practice without concentration. I just think it's a question of how much you need. I find that the majority of the work that I do in insight practice is with a relatively low concentration. It's sort of soft, it's material happening, but because I've had a lot of experience, I can tell that it is real. I believe that the insight and the material that I'm in contact with is real, and it doesn't have to be so razor sharp. However, when I go on retreat or when I'm trying to really dig into something in particular, I'll definitely make a point of taking a lot of time to really get the concentration really stable, which is very, very helpful because the insights and the detail of the insights sort of increase. So I sort of think it's like I tend to be much more on the like just do insight and you'll get enough concentration. That said, I'm also okay if my concentration isn't like a whip sharp for insight practice. So hopefully that helps. You got to make a judgment for yourself. I will say, generally opposed to the idea that you're just supposed to have super high concentration and that's the only good way to do insight practice. It's like, I guess. There's often just this thing of like, I say this with a lot of love and compassion. There's often a lot of self-righteousness about like, nope, this is the right way to do it. And if you don't do it this way, thanks for the follow. Archimedes 743. Thank you so much for the follow. Great to have you here. So when we get to the right way to do it, I always get a little skeptical. So Denny Blackskells Merton also says,
that was one of the best sittings I've had in a long time. I think I'm finally starting to understand what it means to be aware of awareness. Previously, I erroneously approached it from an intellectual level. Awareness means I am 100% conscious all or most of all sensations. Instead, I've started to sit with that sense of ease and lightness. Awareness felt like a potentially to investigate, focus on any sensation from a place of stillness.
Yeah. So it's hard before you really have a bunch of contact with it. It seems like so elusive, and then when you do, you're like, oh, it's really, really obvious. It's like I did this with you, Denny, before, but I can do it again now. So like right now, can you tell that you're seeing? Anyone else can do this too. Can you tell? Yeah, pretty easy. Can you tell that you're hearing? Yeah, pretty straightforward. Can you tell that you're feeling? You have a physical body. Great. Now, seeing, hearing, and feeling are very different, but something is the same all the way throughout, and that's the thing that knows that. I knew, yeah, I could tell that was happening. I could tell. That part that could tell, that's the awareness. And it's all of our experiences require that to have the experience, requires that part that can tell. So if we can tell that we can tell, we're aware of awareness. So we can notice, oh yeah, look, the system is taking that in. That is aware of awareness. So that's great. And then we start to notice, okay, awareness has these certain qualities. It tends to be very light. It tends to be very neutral. It doesn't care what it's experiencing. It just experiences them. And so we can start to hone into those details. And P.S., the neutrality of awareness is where a lot of the like big goodies of meditation come from. This sort of thing of, I took an icy cold shower this morning, and there were moments when I'd be sucked in, like, oh, it's cold, and then just open up to awareness and be like, oh, look, the system is freaking out. Oh, ice cold water in the body. Okay, I'm not like breathing or anything. When I let go of awareness, all of a sudden the system starts freaking out. But if I can hold it from, sometimes it's called the witness state, but again, that's sort of personifying awareness. But the witness state, and you're just watching this thing occurring within a bubble sort of thing, that is, now you're getting the goodies of awareness. So you're moving closer to your goal of being able to have surgery without anesthesia, which I do not recommend.
Particularly appreciated the mention of awareness as being like a mist. It worked for me.
Nice. Yeah. I was thinking about this recently, that there's a way in which awareness is like a incredibly soft fabric that will like wrap anything in it. But then you start to think how soft, like how light of a fabric. Silk would be far too heavy. Like if you just think about how awareness touches all these different things, silk is like heavy, heavy, heavy compared. Like, what about a spider web? Is a spider web too, like, is that light enough? And you're like, no, even a spider web feels like it's so dense. It's like soak through everything rather than just like sit on top of everything like it does. So it's like this impossibly thin layer. And then I thought, okay, a mist. I think a mist is a good aspect. Okay, so Julia, who asked about a disavowed part, I think that was either angry or was, I forget, I think you said angry. So let's see here what Julia has to say.
Angry thoughts had super strong pull in the beginning. I did manage to be with broader awareness, but often stopped hearing your voice. The anger itself was clearly located in my belly. The resistance was super elusive as usual, but I felt numbness, old emotion, in my forehead and sometimes shoulders. The interaction with the anger is so fast it's really challenging to observe, but there's a hint of shame. This sit was super typical of my experience.
Great. So I would just say a few things. One is it's a long, slow process. Like, it's not like, oh, you just do a thing and it disappears, or you do a thing and you work with it. What I would actually encourage is to spend as much time just hanging out with a kind awareness and introducing individual objects to the overall. Introduce little thing overall. Because, oh, look who found a sock. Well, okay, that's what I get for leaving some laundry out. Okay. And not closing the gate. And having a dog. So it's the same process, but suddenly it becomes very personal, and it's like, okay, there's a part that's having difficulty, and then we have to then solve that and find the need within that. So just getting the system really used to noticing any particle and then introducing that particle to the overall experience, very deeply transformative. It seems like a very small technical detail, but it's just so powerful. The other thing I mentioned briefly in the meditation, I didn't want to go into it too much, but if we're really sucked into some detail, really like pulled into whatever this thing is, to notice, okay, well, if it's pulling into the middle, what is it pulling from? Like, what do I mean it's pulling in? Because it has this sort of central, like, it's like, our mind is just stuck on this thing. What is it pulling from? And it requires us to open awareness to take in what it is actually pulling from. And you'll notice in the moment when you have contact with what it's sort of pulling from, the thing itself sort of dies down for an instant. And it's like, but that doesn't count because the mind's pulled back into it. Well, again, train, what do you mean it's pulled back in? Pulled from what? And that pulled from and the dying down of that difficulty, even for an instant, is like giving you an indication of the potential horsepower of what awareness can do. But we're trying to cultivate that awareness as a home, as a place that we can reside in, eventually as a self, as me, as the true me, deep true self. Agreed with Jean. That was a good analogy. Thank you very much. Feel free to use it all you want. Nick says as follows.
Yeah, agree about the mist. Remember that because the drops looked like the smallest individual pixels being visible.
Interesting. Okay, people are liking the mist metaphor, so that is something I'm going to pay attention to. A sporty race girl, welcome back. I think Toronto, right? Yeah. Says,
when I asked the sensation what it wanted, I had a real sense of what it wanted. So I tried to show it or give it, but it flatly refused the offer. It didn't trust.
Excellent. Okay, so great clarity. And I want to emphasize something here. Beginning meditation is like, I have a problem, how do I get rid of the problem? The problem gives us more information than nearly anything. It shows us the landscape. It's like nature over and over again shows us, hey, here's actually, what are you eating? Here's actually what might solve this issue. Sila, leave it. Leave it. What are you chewing on there? I wish I could, when I tell her to stop chewing on something, I wish I could also tell her, please bring it to me. But she doesn't have that training. She has a Sharpie, unopened, but they're on our carpet, which is like we invested in our wedding money in a carpet, and now there's a big Sharpie on it, and a piece of paper that is probably some sort of expensive receipt. So I'm going to see if I can reach. Yeah. Got him. Okay. This stool on top of this stool here is just a pile of things that I've taken away from Sila over the days and months. Okay. So the point of what I was saying was, oh yeah, you don't trust the part. So what is it telling you then? First of all, congratulations on detecting the wanting, the part that's like, oh, I want, right? Because there's always these layers on top. There's this fundamental like, which is like, that's like the most accurate thing that we could usually, like some part is actually saying like, and on top of that is like, no, and then on top of that is like, you suck, it's like all these thought layers that get added on top, when at the bottom is this sort of like, and finding that fundamental need is deeply powerful. So what you discovered was, hey, here's something, I'm going to offer you something to resolve this, would you like that? And that part said, no. Great. You, using process of elimination, you've discovered one thing that it does not want. That is actually very good news. Okay, because there are a limited number of things. There are, not infinite things. So you try again with something else. But the great thing is you have instant feedback. You try to give that part what it needs, and it just says, no, I don't like that. And you try again with something else, but you have instant feedback. And the fact that you got that feedback means you're now in a very clear communication with this part. Sometimes parts need weird things. Sometimes you just say, hey, how about I leave you alone? And they'll be like, yeah, leave me alone. And you're like, do you want me to like leave? And they're like, no, don't leave, but leave me alone. Like they want you to sort of be there, but don't like interact with them. So sometimes you have to like sit there and let it sort of just hang out. Sometimes like a kid, I think I would do this when I was a kid. I'd be like, wow, I'm so upset. And I like be like, get away from me. But I actually want you to like be nearby, but also get away from me. Or sometimes the part is, we can ask the part, do you want to rest? Because often parts are, especially burdened parts that like are like wanting. You can ask them like, hey, would you like a degree of relief? Like, would you want to let go, or do you want, not even let go? Would you like a rest? How would you like to not have to do this thing? And then often it'll express this little bit of like, I just, yes, I just want to stop having to do this. They just want the thing. So we're trying to find like what's the polarity of this particular wanting, and then find intuitively this other part. And again, they're disconnected. They do not know each other, especially from this part's perspective. They don't know each other, and so it's finding where is the thing that would actually meet that need, this sort of caring part, or whatever it is that could hold that part, that could provide for it what it needs in a way that would really resolve its difficulty. Sometimes what it needs is connection with the kind awareness. Sometimes that's too abstract, too far away. But ultimately, the cool thing that I've found over time is that the answer to these needs, these yearnings, are within us. They're 100% within us. So just keep trying. Sometimes you're going to have to like arrange the parts in your own particular way, but that's what I would encourage, is keep trying. Okay, we have a Chuladasa question here. Exalted Bro says,
Kalidasa says something about needing that lubricating effect of concentration and the pleasure and all that in order to unify the mind enough and get to equanimity. Thoughts?
Yeah, it's the unify the mind enough. And it's also this thing of like, everyone's selling their own system. You know what I mean? Like, you can hear me and I'm like, I don't really think you need that, and so I'm to some degree selling my own system. But I'm at least hopefully aware that it's just one way to go. But it is true that concentration is very good. It's very helpful to have. I encourage people to get highly concentrated and learn how to do that. And I just bristle at this idea that you need, like, you want to wait till you have really solid first jhana before you start exploring, your insight practice. And then once you explore that for a little while, then you get second jhana, and then you explore from there. It's like, yeah, you could. You 100% don't need to, because if jhanas might arise on their own, and that's cool, but they don't have to. Like, all you actually need, and I think that if you look closely, everybody says this, all you actually need is access concentration. And people wildly argue about what is access concentration, because you can have even a simple level of concentration at incredible depth. So you could have just access concentration that's incredibly solid. So some people say you have to have at least 4 hours of complete, and this is a freaky high bar, 4 hours of absolutely unbroken, unwavering concentration, which takes like years and years of continuous practice, like intensive, continuous, many days, hours a day practice to get the mind to be able to do that for 4 hours. Other people have, like, you only need an instant. Like, what more than an instant do you need? You just have to stack those up. And, Mahasi talked about how, like, all concentration really needs to be is an instant followed by an instant followed by an instant. So you just do that, lots of instances of high sensory clarity, and that'll produce concentration. So there's different versions, but ultimately it's like, if you're getting insight, you're good. You know what I mean? Like, if you're getting that material, you're good. Of course, do it sounds fun and interesting, but I just hate this whole, like, it's got to be like this, it's always like this for everybody. It's like, I find it tiresome. Okay, Julia now says, in retrospect,
I remember sort of a wave shaped like an obtuse triangle, had to look that up, moving up from my chest or coming out of the back of my head, and that's how I know it's shame.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
So I do know some details. I already do lots of kind awareness practice, but do you think training concentration more could help me observe fast stuff like that as it happens better?
Sure. But just know that you can also do it just through doing it over and over again, just repetition. So you will develop your concentration on its own just by practicing and practicing more and getting into the detail, noticing it. Another really excellent way to get that detail clear. What are you growling about, Zila? She's like growling. She often wants to get on the couch and is like growling at the couch because she wants to jump up and won't do it. She's like fighting with her own. She's like getting in the cold shower, like the part that wants to do it and the part that can do it. So you were talking about, just to notice that detail. Another big way to actually advance that detail is talk about it like you're doing now. Write about it like you're doing now. Find other people and you can say, hey, this is what's happening. It'll push it forward really quickly. Concentration is good, but I just feel like this is for some reason I'm talking about this a lot today. People just get caught on this thing of like, you have to be so concentrated. Yes, concentration would help you see detail, observe detail. It would help the mind be more stable with what's happening. And there's lots of ways to get higher sensory clarity. What I would say is that notice the configuration of those things. Also notice this is something I know for as far as shame. Shame is typically built out of two parts. A part that feels vulnerable. What's up, Sela? What is it? She wants to get down off the couch. She doesn't want to get... What is it? Sela, you're not allowed to bark. So you're going to have to use your... You can't do that, okay? Okay. She's staring at me. Okay, so usually it's two parts. One, a vulnerable part that, you know, feels vulnerable. Like, oh, it's like scared. I'm so vulnerable. It's so hard. Scared. And another part that's like, you suck. You vulnerable part. If you just went away, then everything would be good. And so we can come at it from either approach. We can talk to the part that's like telling it it's bad. We can talk about the vulnerable part and like give it some space and let it know that it's loved and it doesn't need to be not vulnerable. And for me, the vulnerable part it needs space first. And actually, it's almost like it feels more primary, like it's a more significant part, especially because the part that's smashing it down is actually, in a way, trying to protect the system, which is weird. So it's actually responding to the vulnerable part. One thing I would consider is to find the vulnerable part and see if you can give it space. Vulnerable part, and also, this is another thing we talked about, different parts. Sometimes we approach a part and they're already so compressed, especially a vulnerable part, that asking it a question or saying, what do you need, can actually feel like stilting. So we actually want to give it space, like how big do you want to be? And letting that part expand can be like really helpful because that part just has been compressed for so long. So hopefully that is clarifying and or helpful. Nick says, I gotta double check the clock. Oh boy, because I didn't have a new thing that's happening today. Okay, it's not happening. Oh great, okay, what is this? Oh no, okay, I gotta jump off a little bit. But where is that? I'm taking a class now that's supposed to be around this time. Where is that class? I'm taking a new, I'm starting a class. I'm taking somebody, oh no, it's at night. I forgot, it's at night tonight. Right after couples therapy. Okay, okay, I have a little bit more time here. Sela. Stop. You can't play with that toy right now. She has this toy that, like, it's so loud, so get ready for loudness. If you turn it, it goes, it makes sounds. So we'll put that aside for now. I'm glad you found it. It's a fun toy, but it's not while the microphone is blaring hot. Okay, let's get back to the comments here. Nick says,
so this kind awareness really is totally all-inclusive, including all the needing.
Mm-hmm.
Elle didn't really experience that neutrality before, but then that also had to be a part, right? A self posing as awareness.
Ah, okay. So there's something in IFS called self-like parts. And it's very interesting because in a way it can be like something that's like that kind of awareness, but it's sort of a self, it's just another part. The awareness is the part that can know that part, right? So awareness is always, it's like sort of like a step outside. So let me just read your thing again because I was a little confused here. One more time.
So this kind awareness really is totally all-inclusive, including all the needing.
Yep.
Elle didn't really experience that neutrality before, but then that also had to be a part, right? A self posing as awareness.
I didn't experience that before, but that also had to be a part. Before, but that also had to be a part. Self posing as awareness. Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly the case. So hopefully that is helpful. If there's any need of any kind, it's not kind awareness. It is not this true self. It is not what we talk about as, in IFS is called self energy, Buddha nature. That experience doesn't need anything from the world. It is deeply, deeply neutral. So you can almost find if there's any needing or wanting, I want this to be different or whatever, great. That's not the kind of awareness, but the thing that knows it is. So it can actually show you the path back. Again, getting that skill from particle to whole is very, very good to train the mind with. Oh, and P.S., if people want to develop concentration, the practice that I've been teaching recently related to this and not this is my top recommendation for a concentration practice, unless you have something that you already like and you use and you're down with it, is to use that this and not this practice. That is the jam, especially because the whole premise is that actually not, oh, we have a new, is that a, what do we, oh, you gave a gift subscription there. Denny, thank you so much for your gift subscription. That's very kind of you. But who did you give it to? It only tells me here, gave a tier 1 gift subscription. Who is that to? Denny gave that to, Tamalon. Wow. Thank you so much, Denny. Very kind of you. Thank you. Okay, so Denny says, people love gatekeeping meditation. Doesn't make sense to me. Well, people are just doing the best they can. So, okay, hopefully, I feel like I stopped in the middle of answering someone's question, but if you remind me if I was talking about something and I forgot to finish. Exalted says,
yeah, I like asking for different perspectives from different people. It's really the only way to sniff out the BS. Kaladasa said that thing about concentration with incredible confidence, too.
Well, one attribute that I can absolutely attribute to Culadasa is that he'll say what he has to say with absolute confidence, regardless of whether he changes it from one day to the next. It's funny because he speaks in this like absolute certain way. And I remember talking to him one time. We actually got to spend time together over the course of a week. Was like at a private little small self-retreat with a few people. And what happened? He what occurred? He was saying like, this is, he's describing something, and then someone's like, but you say it differently in the book. He's like, oh yeah, I've already abandoned that concept. I don't talk about it like that anymore. And it's like, just so funny because it's like, the book was just a capture in time, and like the thing he was talking about was like peripheral awareness, and like he's like, there's no such thing as peripheral awareness. It's just awareness, and sometimes we notice it as the periphery, but it's like that concept is eliminated. It's just awareness. So I thought that was interesting, and he like defined mindfulness as the balance of attention and awareness, which is a new definition since the book, and it's just interesting. It's really changing things, and like, but still like perfect 100% confident, or like 100%. This is the way it is and always has been. So often teachers will deeply disagree with themselves. The one person they like totally disagree with is themselves. This is the thing I was saying before about this and not this. And I said, you've heard me say this before, but if you're using the term not this, meaning any distraction, remember it includes a very specific term in that statement. It includes the term this. So if you're paying attention to this, and not this arises, don't just say, not this, not this. Say like not, what is it not? This is not something. It's not what? It's not this. So whether you say the word this or you say the word not this, by the end of that statement, it should point you right to this. So it starts to be this thing where even distractions are pushing you towards this. And that's an incredible way to get a lot of horsepower out of meditation, out of concentration. That's my suggestion. Super helpful advice. Triangle lending themselves to drawing, I guess. Yeah, maybe draw it out. That sounds super fun. Black Skulls Martin says it picks randomly. I don't know which thing it picks randomly. Oh, so if you do a gift subscription, it just picks someone randomly. I did not know that. I didn't know that. I thought it was always, you were like, this person. No, this person. Well, that's very kind. Thank you for the gift subscription, folks. Very kind, as always. Maybe last question here. Let's see. Exalted says,
speaking of perspectives, what do you think of Koan practice? Do you have any experience with it?
In fact, I do. One of my earliest practices as a teen was Koan practice, and I actually love Koan practice. I'm not an expert by any means. I mean, people are dedicate their whole lives to this, so I've done a few years of sort of loose, self-guided Koan practice, but I do deeply love Koan practice, largely in part because it's the sort of entree into don't know mind. So one thing that I think is very powerful about Koan practice is that the Koan is a meditation instruction. It is not just like, some funny words or something confusing. And yes, part of it is to make the mind not be able to arrive at a logical answer. It requires the mind to arrive at an answer that is not of the conscious mind. It is of experiencing. So an example, what's a good example? What does Sela got? Sela, what do you got? I swear to God, when I like, what do you got? She'll like really quickly try to swallow it. What are you chewing on? So what's an example of koan practice? One of my favorite koans is Beautiful day, blue sky. Why does the cloud block the sun? And I think the key to remember here is that this is a meditation instruction. Sela, come here. Here. What are you chewing on? Come on. Come, Sela. Here. She knows I'm going to take it away from her, so she won't come. Sela. Come. Turn this mic off. I have to get this thing out of her mouth. Sela, here. Come on. Come on. Come. Come on, baby. Come on. What you got in your mouthy? What you got? This is what dog parenting actually looks like. A lot of looking inside the mouth and being like, what do you got? What do you got? I know you want to chew it. You want to chew it. It's okay. Oh, you got a stick. So cute. You have a little thistle. She has a thistle from the Christmas tree, which are totally undigestible by dogs. So, back to what we were saying a second ago. Thanks for bearing with me. Okay. What is it? Beautiful day, blue sky. Why does the cloud block the sun? As we're asking this question, consider you're supposed to be sitting in meditation asking this question, why does the cloud block the sun? Are we thinking about a cloud? Is that the point, is to think about the cloud, right? The question, it sets the system up in a place. It's like, but I'm indoors, I can't even see the clouds. Where's the cloud? Is the cloud just in my mind? Is it just in my mind? If it's in my mind, how is it blocking the sun? Wait, what's the sun? Is the sun the awareness? Is the knowing? Am I the sun? And it makes us question all of these parts. Am I the blue sky? Is this question the blue sky? Is this a beautiful day? Is it beautiful? Right? The system cannot arrive at an answer, but it doesn't arrive at an answer in a way that helps us investigate our experience. So remember, any koan is a meditation instruction. A tree falls in the forest and there's no one there to hear it. Doesn't make a sound. That is an instruction. It's not just a question. Okay, you're sitting there. A tree falls in the forest. No one is there. Doesn't make a sound. Am I there? I mean, I'm there right now, thinking about it. Am I there? Is this that is the driving force of the koan. So koan practice is incredible. It's very, very good. It's very, very different than what we're used to, because we're used to, in the West, it's like we have an answer and an answer and an answer, and we add all the answers together and it's going to make up the world. And it's like, it just doesn't work like that. So let's see here. Okay, last thing here comes from Nick. Nick says,
that distinction between dismissing, not this was a huge key. Yes, noticed that myself not long ago, gotta jump off by ye and thanks for all the help.
Dismissing, is that dismissing? Demising? Is demising a word that I don't know about? It probably is. Okay, great. I'll assume that I understand that perfectly clearly. Okay, folks, lovely as always to be here with you. I want to tell you a secret. We're going to be back here in fewer than 48 hours. That is a simple fact. So I hope that we get a chance to practice together and have fun. But right here in this particular moment, take in your current environment. Notice that there are particles, individual pieces, and those pieces can be experienced along with the overall experience. But the mind tends to think that the only thing is the zooming in quality. Only zooming in, that's the only real thing. So, dog. Quiet, Sela, shh. So to take in our experience right now, and just to know that there are various pushing and pulling needs within us and also within us. Hey, Sela, shh. Quiet, you can't bark. It's against the rules. There are various needs, like this dog has a need to get off the couch and is afraid to. And to know that those needs, those deep-seated desires have an answer. There is an answer somewhere. So to search for that, to look for that, to allow for that, that is our task. So folks, lovely to be here with you as always. Practice well, take care of each other, have fun, and we will see you all very, very soon.